Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Neil Haley Show. And I'm really excited about our guest. At long last, the 2020 Summer Olympic and Paralympic Games will kick off in less than 3 months. Among the elite athletes representing the United States are several soldier athletes from the U.S. Army. Here now to talk about what it's like to be heading to Tokyo as part of the Team USA and what it takes to be an Olympian is Sergeant Amro El Jaziri, and he's in the men's modern pentathlon. How are you, Amro? Thanks for stopping by.
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
Well, I can't imagine. I imagine many people had no idea that the U.S. Army produced Olympians. Tell us about your path to becoming an Olympic soldier athlete.
So my sport is modern pentathlon, which consists of 5 events: running, swimming, fencing, shooting, and horseback riding. I started the sport after watching my brother compete in the Sydney Olympics. I've been competing for 15 years now, and I've been to 3 Olympic Games. I joined the Army in 2017 after Rio because I wanted to serve and represent the country in a different way. In late 2017, I was selected to be in the World Class Athlete Program, which is a U.S. Army program that allows soldiers to compete and pursue their Olympic dreams. In 2019, I represented Team USA and the U.S. Army at the Pan American Games, where I qualified for Tokyo 2021. And when I'm not competing for the Olympics, my Army job is a unit supply specialist, which is basically taking care of a unit supply demand.
So I never knew that the U.S. Army, that there were athletes from the U.S. Army participating in the Olympics. How did that start and all that? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so definitely there's so many programs in the Army. You just need to ask the right questions. I got exposed to the program through teammates who were doing the sport, but also were in the U.S. Army. And I got to watch them do their job and also represent Team USA and the Army at the Olympic Games. And that's how I got exposed, and I learned about the amazing opportunity, which is the World Class Athlete Program. But also for anybody, if you're interested, you can find all those amazing opportunities if you go on goarmy.com. There's a lot of things that you never think you can find there.
How challenging is it to qualify, to be able to be in the Olympics, even if it's the U.S., you're learning through the U.S. Army program in specific ways and different things, the challenges of competing at that level? Explain that to us a little bit. Yeah.
So definitely the Olympic Games is the highest level for any elite athlete. It happens one every 4 years. So it's pretty challenging. First, it's very challenging to get into Team USA, and then you have to qualify your spot by competing against your teammates and also against the world. So it takes years and years of training. Also being in the Army, I have my full-time job, but I'm also very lucky to have the support of the Army to help me get through this process.
See, you never knew those things are available in the U.S. Army. Who pointed you to that direction to find out about that? You said your brother, is that how it worked? Yeah.
No, for me, teammates, I competed with so many teammates who were already in the program, which was a surprise to me too. I never thought I can be in the Army and also be an Olympic athlete. That's how I got exposed first, and then I went to the website and checked all the details, and here I am.
Tell me about what it takes to train to be an Olympic athlete. What's your training regimen?
So typically I train 7 days a week, 6 to 8 hours a day. I run and swim every day, fencing 4 times a week, shooting 4 times a week, lifting 3 times a week, and riding once or twice a week, depending on the season. Obviously, due to the pandemic, everything has been different. It's been difficult mentally and physically. But as a soldier, I'm trained to be adaptable. So I got to do the best I can with what I have. And also having the Army support and all the resources that the Army provide from coaching, facilities, give us definitely an edge.
How challenging and disappointing was it for you when COVID hit? Because of the Olympics and how everything was moved. Every athlete in the world that's finally going to get to compete this summer really felt pretty down, right? Pretty challenging situation when it happened, right?
Definitely. At the beginning, I had mixed feeling. I was very sad. We were very close to the Olympics. And then there was the big unknown. We didn't even know that the Olympics was going to happen. And it was very frustrating because all the work we've put in, years and years of work. I always try to look to the positive. So to me, I looked at it that I have another year to prepare, which was great. And now that the Olympics is on, I'm super excited for it. And I hope I can bring back a medal.
And tell us some of your experiences in competing before the Olympics. You've competed in other games and stuff, right? Correct? Yeah.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, so definitely the Olympics is the biggest event, sporting event in the world.
Yes.
Such an amazing experience. Really hard too, because imagine you're training for years and years for one day. So mentally and physically, it's very stressful. My experiences were great. I haven't medaled yet, but I've worked really hard. I've learned from my mistakes, and I'm super excited for Tokyo. And I hope this will be the time to bring a medal for Team USA and the U.S. Army.
How does it feel to be representing the United States, especially being the U.S. Army?
It's such a privilege and an honor. These are the two greatest teams in the world. It is so special to represent Team USA at the Olympics, but it's even more special to know that I can represent the men and women that wear the uniform. So I'm super excited for it.
How about your friends and family? How excited are they about the Olympics for you?
They are very excited, and it doesn't matter how many times you go to the Olympics. It's always an amazing opportunity, an amazing experience, once in a lifetime experience. They are supportive. Very lucky to have their understanding and their support, and I hope I can make them proud.
And you love the whole international aspect of the Olympics, right? Getting to meet different athletes from all over the world, right? That's a great experience, isn't it?
Absolutely. Absolutely, yeah. There's nothing better than being at the Olympic Village and seeing all those different people, different backgrounds, different countries, and we're all there for the same dream. So it's very encouraging, very exciting for sure.
I want to learn more about your sport. Kind of explain the whole competition factor, how it takes place, and all that stuff. You know, because again, Olympics keeps always adding new sports to the mix, and it's interesting, but it's always interesting to learn about how that competition works.
So actually, Olympic pentathlon has a huge military background. The idea of it was back in the days in 1990s. I'm sorry, the beginning of the 19s. The idea was to have the perfect soldier. So you're supposed to be able to ride any horse you can find. Ride that horse until you get to a river, and then you drop the horse and you start swimming. And after swimming, you encounter enemies. So you pull out your gun, start shooting, you run out of bullets, you pull out your sword and fight, and then at the end, you run. So the idea is to send a message across enemy line. So that's the idea, the military background behind it. Perhaps the most famous US pentathlete ever was General Patton. He competed in the Olympics and he got the fourth place, which is very, it's an honor for me to try and continue that military tradition. Nowadays, the competition goes like the whole competition, we compete everything in one day. The whole competition is over in 5 hours. We start by the fencing event. It takes like 2 hours. It's one touch fencing bout, and you fence everybody in the competition, which is 36 athletes. After that, you get a certain point depending on how you did in that event. And then you move on to the swimming event. Swimming event is a 200-meter freestyle, just as a regular swimming competition. And whatever you get, whatever score you get, it's transferred into points too, and you add up that points to the fencing points. And then we go to the riding event, which is a horseback riding, 15 jumps, 4 feet high. We still kept the military tradition for it. So riding, we don't have our own horses. It's by draw. So we just they have some horses at the competition, and we draw the horse, and then you have 20 minutes to get to know that horse. And then you're into the competition. And then the last event is the run and shoot event. We have it both combined together. And the way we do it is a total of 2 miles run divided into 4 800 meters. And between every 800 meters, you shoot 5 shots. It's one arm shooting, and you have to hit a target meters away from you. And basically, you add those points from every event you get until you get to the combined event. And then we have a stagger start where the first person who has the most point at this point starts first. And then it's a handicap start. So if I'm 4 points behind the first, I'll start 4 seconds behind him. But if I cross the line before him, I'm the winner. So
wow.
It's pretty exciting.
Oh my gosh. A lot involved. You have a lot more training to go, but the best place people can find information if they too want to compete in the Olympics, especially if they're in the U.S. Army, or consider being part of the U.S. Army, is go where? Where can we go?
Definitely, you can go. Yeah, if you're interested in any opportunities that the Army can offer, you can go to goarmy.com. And if you're more interested in what we do in the World Class Athlete Program, please visit armywcap.com.
Thank you, Sergeant. Thank you again for your service, and I appreciate you stopping by the Neil Haley Show. Take care.
Thanks for having me.
All right. You're watching and listening to the Neil Haley Show, and we'll be back in just a moment.
The Allegheny County Library Association is a federated system of 46 independent libraries, all of whom have their own governance structure. And we're always looking for people to help support libraries, serving on a committee, serving on a board. If you're interested, we are establishing something called the Allegheny County Library Association Talent Bank, and we're looking for you. On behalf of the Allegheny County Library Association, I want to thank you for your interest in libraries. If you visited a library recently, well, you've probably discovered they aren't just warehouses of books. In fact, libraries are community support centers, places where people connect with each other and with the information and resources they need every day. Maybe you want to find a job or learn to be a better parent. Maybe you want to fix your car or even bake a souffle. The library is a place where you can find what you need. In addition to books, libraries offer music, videos, computers, free Wi-Fi, classes, workshops, story times, and even probably the pan to bake your souffle. Because libraries represent all of our community needs, it's absolutely essential that library leadership reflect the people who live in our communities. That's why ACLA has developed the Talent Bank.
With the Talent Bank, our goal is to increase opportunities for community members to serve in significant roles at their local libraries. The boards and committees of the 46 member libraries must reflect the rich diversity of our communities and the library users as well as the supporters. There are many ways in which libraries will benefit by making inclusivity and diversity a priority. Organizations with diverse leadership are more likely to understand the needs of a diverse client base. Research shows that a diversity of perspectives in decision-making leads to better outcomes. Donors and clients want to see themselves reflected in the organizations that serve them and that they support. The Talent Bank is one of many actions we are taking to provide community members with opportunities to get involved with their local libraries.
As a community leader and as a business owner in my community, one of the things that I really stress and I try and do is surround myself with other business people that have the same skills and or thoughts for the community itself. And being a member of the community, but being involved in the community is extremely important to me. And I volunteer on quite a few different boards in our community, but my favorite is our public library. Being on the library board itself has been instrumental in helping me in the business and helping me network throughout the community itself.
Just about every library user has a unique story about their relationship with their local library. Something special about that experience. Be part of the library of the future by registering for the ACLA Talent Bank.
So if you've been listening to us, I'm sure you're intrigued. And we welcome all of you to sign up. Just join the Talent Bank. You can access that through the ACLA website at aclalibraries.org, or you can call your local library. And you don't have to necessarily just sign up for a board. You can also sign up to be on a committee. That's one way to get to know the library and for the library to get to know you. So please, show your love of libraries, get involved, join the Talent Bank now.
Welcome to Living a Legacy, and I'm excited to welcome to the program Eric Couch. Eric, how are you? New digs, new place now, right?
New digs. We're in the new spot, Neil. This is great.
Yeah. We had George. We had two really unbelievable ones with George Lopez and a couple, and then you went your way, I went my way, and it's interesting enough the excitement that's coming up in our guest today. But again, you just feel great to be in new digs and through that transition period, right?
Absolutely, man. We got some sketchy weather today, but we're loving it, and we need some rain. Talking about changing weather and opportunities and great stories. Today's guest is one of my absolute favorites. I've got so many memories. You probably watched the movie if you're a friend of Connected to Me at all, you probably love the movie Eddie and the Cruisers. And today we have Eddie from Eddie and the Cruisers. He's been in a bunch of other movies. Michael Paré. And Michael, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Eric. Good to be here. I love Dallas. I've been there quite a few times. I shot maybe 3 movies there.
All right.
And so Michael, also I am in Pittsburgh. So we had snow the last couple of days. Not
how nice.
Stories. Isn't that unbelievable? In this time of April, come on now.
Yeah, but it's April showers. I thought. Not
I know exactly.
I know it's been cold here. No snow, but cold. Now, Michael, you ditched Brooklyn and moved to L.A. How many years have you been in L.A. now? I guess since.
Oof. Well, I was going back and forth between New York and L.A. for like the first 5 or 7 years of my career. And then I moved to Europe for 10 years, and I've been back in California now for about 12, 13 years.
Awesome. Well, I got to tell you, when Neil mentioned that we were going to interview you, I got so stoked, and I sent a text. I got 2 brothers and a sister, and I know you got 6 brothers or 6 sisters and 3 brothers?
6 sisters and 3 brothers, 10 children. Yeah.
Yeah, so a little bigger family than mine. Although Neil's trying to catch up with you.
Yeah, I have 6 kids, Michael. So
lucky you, man. Wow, that must be a ball.
So yeah, my family's a little smaller. In fact, I'm an only child, but I've got my mom was married before and 2 older brothers and a sister. And I remember as a kid dating myself, right? The Eddie and the Cruisers came out at 1983, I believe, 83, 84ish.
Yeah, around there.
So I was 8 years old, I guess, when it came out, and we went on a family cruise or family trip to Colorado for the summer. And my brother Morgan had got the cassette tape to Eddie and the Cruisers, and we wore that thing out. I mean, wore it out, and it was funny. So I texted my siblings earlier this week. 3-4 days ago, and I'm telling them about the interview, and I just mentioned it. And I mean, there's On the Dark Side quotes are coming out, and all the songs, quoting the movie. We're ripping my older brother because he wants out of the text message. So we're calling him out, but using quotes from the movie and the songs, and just it was hilarious. It was just this huge flashback. They're the ones who brought up the trip. But yeah, it's, there's so many great memories in my family with my siblings because of your movie. So,
well, the guy who wrote those great songs for Streets of Fire, Jim Steinman, just died.
Wow.
Yeah. He wrote those great songs that Diane Lane sang. Ooh,
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Music's been a big part of my career, but, and we did Eddie 2, and, who knows, there might be an Eddie 3 in the near future. And,
anything's possible.
Anything's possible, but we're here to talk about a Painkiller today, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're going to talk.
We'll talk about a little bit, Michael, of just a couple questions, and we'll get right to the movie as well.
Sure, cool? Absolutely. Whatever
absolutely.
You like, guys.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Now, so I wanted to tell the reason why Eric's so excited also. He's a singer himself, a professional singer, meaning
a professional.
He went to college. he went to college for singing, and he's right. What would you major in, Eric?
Vocal performance. So singing.
Wow.
But I got a degree in education because the degree was free, and that was the one thing I could do anything with. So,
right.
And now I perform and educate every day doing this stuff.
Wow.
Just not singing as much.
Oh, you don't sing so much.
You know, I sing some, but especially during COVID, you know, I sing, you know, I've had the privilege for, although it's pulled back in the last 2 or 3 years, but we've got a 17-year-old son and a daughter that will be 16 in a month. And every day of their life, at least through the time they were probably 12 years old, we sing them to bed every night.
How cool
so that's
is
where
that?
I've used it the most.
Wow. You don't go out karaoke attack, huh?
You know, I'm not a karaoke guy. I wish I were, you know, all those years singing chorally with groups and stuff like that, music where they're smacking your hands with the ruler. You know, it's funny. I start singing and I get really boring. But then if I'm not singing, I'll be the interpretive dance, right? I'm the one making a fool and having a blast. But you know, I've got to, unless I'm on stage, right? If I'm doing like musical theater or something like that, putting it together and so it's funny. It's just that change because as a vocal performance, as music, you know, they teach you in that thing to be stoic and still and really boring. So I have to, you know, I've had to work to break out of that.
So when you say you've been singing choral, is that like faith-based stuff? Is that like in church and choir and that kind of stuff?
Well, absolutely that. So choral just being group singing. So a chorale, a group, and you know, school, college, you know, when they beat it into you as if that's your major, right? Every day, and it's very structured of how to do it. But yeah, absolutely. Predominantly my singing over the years has been faith-based in churches, and that's what I did all the way through college. I was on staff at churches.
Great. That must
be
great. But let me ask you something. Since you studied voice production, if you have sinus problems, like, you know, you have like allergies and stuff like that, does that affect your tone, like being able to sing on key?
Not really. It absolutely can affect you. But if you know, chew on some lemons or do something like that, it's amazing. I've had times where I was completely hoarse and I couldn't speak, and I was like, how am I going to sing? And then you get up there and it just comes out perfectly, like there wasn't an issue, but being unable to speak for a day. But you just, you know, when you're singing correctly and you're trained correctly, you know, you use different muscles than when you're just speaking, even though it's coming out of the same place.
No, but I mean, because
it's wild.
Like if your your eye, your nose and throat are all connected. So if you're having like a sinus attack, would that impact your hearing? So you could sing off key?
I don't know about off. I haven't had that issue. Now what I have done is I wake up like Barry White.
Right. Yeah, I know a lot of singers do that. Like, I really can't sing until you know, I've had my coffee. Like I can't sing until after
awesome.
12. Yeah.
I'm like, I got a voice. But yeah, now what if you do get I think it's tinnitus or whatever, or vertigo, right, where it starts to, you know, the congestion and stuff like that that absolutely can impact any of it. And or if you've got a really bad congestion in one ear, if you just can't hear well. But it's, you know, it's amazing. There's people that are deaf in one ear that have perfect pitch. So, you know, it's God's just made us amazing creatures where we tend to be able to pull off things even when it doesn't seem like we should be able to.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. To me, logically, if you have a sinus infection or you have allergies, your hearing is different. You know, so would your voice production be different? But I guess not.
Not necessarily. I mean, it could be. You know, but what could happen is if you have it for a while, especially if it's due to something like smoking or a long-term thing where you're adjusting too much, then you can eventually just tear up your voice, you know, get a thing called nodes or something like that.
Right.
So, you know, so Eric, I cannot wait to hearing what's next on this story so far, but it's great going back and forth and singing. And see, I'm as the person in a way not saying, okay, what's happening, because I'm interested. And honestly, you want to hear this, Michael? Never saw Eddie and the Cruisers. Never. I've not seen the movie. So I have to.
I don't know where you get it. I think you can send away for the DVD if you really want to.
Yeah,
maybe YouTube. You can see a lot of the songs on YouTube if you just type in like Dark Side.
Yeah, I know the songs, but never saw the movie. Never saw the movie. No.
Well, it's as far as I know, right? And Michael, you've actually been in a bunch of stuff. I'll take a step back. So typically what we do, our format is we review a chunk of the past stuff that people know you for, and then we spend a chunk of time on what you're working on right now as well, because we want to hear that, and all your fans want to hear that. But there's so much stuff. Like, I love the fact that I didn't know this until I did a little research. Your very first intro, at least as far as I read, was in probably my all-time favorite sitcom, which was Greatest American Hero.
Right. That was my first job, Greatest American Hero. That's what brought me out to California, actually.
I was stoked. I love that. That's been my ringtone on my phone before.
Really?
But it was Believe It or Not, We Are Not Home. So leave a message at the tone rather than Believe It or Not, right. the Greatest American Hero songs. Just love that show. So there's so many, but you know, you've made a huge impact in my life. And of course that movie, which we're looking forward to your new one, but that movie is the only one that I've ever known that, you know, it came out as a movie, but then the music from the movie went off and actually took on its own identity, right? It was a blockbuster top. It was a #1 song on the charts.
Yeah. I got a double platinum album hanging on my wall.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, you know, has another movie ever done that where it literally,
not that I was in.
I mean, there's musicians that do movies, right? Yeah. And there could be a soundtrack that's really good, but literally this is a movie that came out and it's about a band that really doesn't exist. And yet outside of the movie, the band took off and has been its own standalone thing, just as Eddie and the Cruisers, like the music from that movie was so powerful that it just did its own thing. And I've never heard of another movie that did that. I've heard of songs that became movies. I've heard of musicians that went into movies, but I've never heard of like a role in a movie that the music and the message was so powerful that it literally became its own standalone music that breaks the charts and does all that just because it's, you know, I mean, people are like, hey, where do I see Eddie and the Cruisers in concert? Because you hear it on the radio and you're like, that's awesome. So
yeah, it's kind of unique.
It is. And you've done all kinds of things, Hope Floats and the Virgin Suicides with Coppola and
Sofia Coppola.
Yeah.
And you know, I worked with Matthew McConaughey, Sandra Bullock, Bryan Cranston, Johnny Depp, Bruce Dern, Rod Steiger, Roy Scheider, Malcolm McDowell. I've been doing it a long time, man. I'm really blessed. I got to say, you know, I've got a career that spans 40 years. I mean, what can I say about that? And I'm still working. I'm gonna be directing next month. Wow. I'm directing a zombie movie.
A kid from up in Brooklyn, right?
Yeah, Bay Ridge, Brooklyn.
Who now this is the wildest story. You were not a cook. So people think, oh, he was a cook. No, he was a chef that went to the Culinary Institute and working at Tavern on the Green. So you're not just kind of educated in being a chef, like you're like legit.
Yeah. I mean, what can I say? But it all happened very young. I went right from high school into the Culinary Institute. Yeah. And I was working in Manhattan, and my girlfriend was a waitress in a bar down the street, and the chefs get off early. So I'd be out of there and walking down Columbus Avenue around 10:30, and I'd wait for her to get off at work. And there was an agent there named Yvette Bickoff, she lived in the neighborhood because this is the Upper West Side. It was kind of a show business bar because it was right across the street from ABC where they do the news. Guys like Bill Beutel and Roger Grimsby would hang out there, and all the Grip and Electric from Madison Square Garden. So, I mean, this is like a New York neighborhood. And Yvette lived in the neighborhood, and she was kind of a regular, and she started chatting me up, and she suggested that I try studying acting. And I said, I can't. I'm a full-time chef. I work 6 days a week. He said, well, you can just go to a few classes during the day and see if you like it. And I went, and I liked it. And 2 years later, I was in Hollywood doing Greatest American Hero.
See, that's unbelievable.
Wild.
And did you always want to be an actor, or that was
not? No. I was gonna, work. I had a job lined up in Marseille with one of the French chefs I was working with. His brother had a restaurant in Marseille, and I was on my way to Marseille.
Yeah.
When I met Yvette, and I just went to a couple of classes because it was all the waiters in New York are actors or actresses, and
right.
They wouldn't date a chef, but if you go to acting class, now you're an actor, and the pretty girls will date you. So that was really big attraction. Anita was a great gal, but I was 19. I wasn't going to be too serious, so I was still out there running around. But that was really the hook. That as a chef or a cook, at 19 years old, you're not going to get the really super hotties, but as an actor, you will.
And a musician, which you didn't plan on that thing, right?
No, I wasn't. I'm not a musician.
Yeah, exactly. I said you didn't plan on that being in a movie that was about music. You never planned that. Not at all.
Right. No. Actually, we had been shooting Greatest American Hero in the Caribbean, the start of the second season, and you fly through New York, LA, New York, down to St. Croix. And me and my best friend was also on the show. We got off the plane in New York because we didn't have to work for the next few days, just to visit my bro. Because, we crashed on the Lower East Side. And while I was there, my agent said, since you're in New York where you're not supposed to be, why don't you go meet Marty Davidson? And I did. And that was the beginning. I read the script, and I went up and met him. And then it was a series of meetings, and then auditions, and then workshop. And then they closed my deal, and off I was to Cherry Hill, New Jersey, to shoot Eddie. And here's a funny story. So me and Anita lived up on 101st Street, and her best friend, this guy Jimmy Grubel, was a grip in the movie business, like do a lot of commercials. And we used to hang around, me and Jimmy, because our girlfriends were both like pals. I'm walking in the lobby of the Rickshaw in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, and there's Jimmy Grubel walking through the lobby. He says, Mike, what are you doing here? And I said, I'm working. He says, how's the food? I said, I don't know. I just got here. He says, what are you talking about? You said you're working here. And I said, I'm making a movie. He said, what movie? Eddie and the Cruisers. He says, I'm on Eddie and the Cruisers. I said, I'm Eddie. So he knew me as a cook in the neighborhood up in the Upper West Side. And here he hasn't seen me in years. And it's like, how's the food at the Rickshaw? So it's one of those funny stories about Eddie.
Yeah. I'm Eddie. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. Now you've got a new movie coming out. And it sounds really intriguing. I know, Neil, you've got a handful of questions about it, but
absolutely.
Tell us a little about it.
Well, it's about the opioid epidemic in the United States, and it's a really important subject, and it's ignored. And, it can easily be described, as part of the conspiracy theory. But, this is what I've been telling people. I have this toenail fungus on my left big toe, right? And to get a prescription for that, I have to get a blood test every month to get the prescription refilled, right? And that's for toenail fungus. Big blood test. When the blood comes back and they see it didn't affect anything, okay, we'll write you another prescription. But to get oxycodone, you have a pain in your back here, and they'll write it out, and they'll give you a renewal. And people are dying from this.
Right.
You don't die from toenail fungus. So people are dropping dead. It's a very serious issue. And the irony is the same company that produces the oxycodone has also gotten a contract to all the law enforcement police departments across the United States for the Narcan. So they create the epidemic, and then they also create the cure.
Does that sound like a coincidence, what we're talking about now?
Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Isn't that
with
sick?
COVID?
Isn't there corruption?
With the vaccine and all? Yeah.
Yeah.
It really worries me. And, look, I'm not going to promote anything except that I believe in God, and I pray and meditate, and I pray for America, because I think it's our only chance, because I've lost a lot of faith in the people that are running the country. And it worries me. And I don't want to promote, this conspiracy stuff, but come on, the oxycodones, people are dropping dead by the thousands. And doesn't seem to be any, the pharmaceutical company is financing a lot of political campaigns. And that's wrong. So I'm playing the villain in this. And I'm not like, I don't run the pharmaceutical company, but I'm the guy who brings it to the doctors who are corrupt enough to be writing these prescriptions. And, it's a very sad, serious, it's a horror film in a sense.
Yeah.
Because if you hear about, in Florida, they have these pain clinics. And I know they say they're cracking down now, but, for a long time, people were taking busloads of people from Boston were going down to Miami and towns in Florida and walking into these pain clinics, saying they have pain and getting a prescription for 60 oxys. And they go to 5 or 6 of those and they go back to Boston with 2,000 oxys that they're selling at $5 to $10, $20 a pill. Heroin is cheaper than oxycodone.
Oh my gosh.
And, the oxycodone is coming from big pharma. There's something wrong there. You can walk in and say, I have pain in my back, and you get a prescription for 60 oxys. So when you hear that, you can understand the story that somebody, and the guy who was the inspiration is in the movie, Tom Parnell. Here's the real tragedy. His son was an athlete all through high school. He was a college athlete. He got hurt and he got a prescription for oxycodone. He got addicted. On the second prescription, he overdosed and died.
Oh, wow.
How's that? This is a guy who never did dope. He didn't smoke marijuana. He didn't do anything like that. So, when I heard that backstory, I said, I'm in. And, Mark Savage, he's one of these filmmakers who doesn't go to the distributor first. He comes up with the story that he wants to tell, and hopefully somebody will buy it.
Right.
So he's a real filmmaker. I mean, the movie I'm directing, we went to the distributors and said, what's selling? And they said, zombies. And my partner, my boss said, how about zombies on a plane? And they said, oh, that'll sell really big. And that's what the movie. But, it's not that serious an issue. And I don't feel guilty about wasting people's time. It's escapism and it's fun.
Right.
But Mark is making, it's a very serious topic, and
it is.
It doesn't get enough coverage.
No, you're absolutely right. Because it makes an impact, and it like you said, somebody that's never done anything, right? A good all-American kid that's playing football that gets hurt, that happens. And we expect our kids to heal. We expect our kids to run on. We expect to see our kids grow up and have kids of their own and do all this stuff, and to find out that your son got addicted to something that he never would have had, and it shouldn't have been a big deal because it was prescribed by a doctor and you trust doctors. And then it's just everything goes downhill and you lose your child. Like that story needs to be heard.
More than anything. But one of the reasons that people came together and formed governments is so that they could be collectively protected.
Yeah.
Right. And they're not, restricting the writing of these prescriptions or regulating or supervising. And there's this attitude, well, if you're dumb enough to do it, it's your own fault. I said, wait a minute. Then how is that? How is that okay? It's like, it's a terrible situation. And me as an actor, even though I play, this villainous guy, I'm hoping to bring greater awareness, and because they're not going to run commercials on it,
right?
No.
Because the same people who own the pharmaceutical company own the media.
And the pharmaceutical companies are controlling the world as we see today. And
they're one of them. The pharmaceutical companies, the military-industrial complex, and I think there's some other really diabolical force involved. But that's me.
See, Brian Leaf again was another person that got addicted to opioids and ended up in jail because of it. And he wasn't really a big drinker. So it's just a terrible thing to know. But I guess I read the summary of the movie that I don't want to give it away. People need to see it for sure, but because somehow you're in trouble, aren't you, in this film from what you've done? It's payback time, right? And how did you feel about being the villain? Have you been a villain in a lot of stuff before?
I've been playing gangsters and a few bad guys. And, it's, if you remember that movie, Angels with Dirty Faces, with James Cagney and I think it's Pat O'Brien.
Yeah.
And the end of the movie, you know, Pat O'Brien says, this is the story of a boy who just couldn't run as fast as me. And you see these two little kids in a you know, an underprivileged neighborhood, and they're being chased by the police, and the one falls down and goes to juvenile hall, and the other one gets away. James Cagney is the one who falls down, and that's the beginning of his life of crime. So I don't think people are born evil. I think certain circumstances can lead a person to a very dark part of humanity. Right. And then there's people who are just plain greedy and evil, but then they also have no moral compass and you know, sense of right or wrong. And it's just a matter of success is whoever has the most money at the end of his days. And that's, you know, that's very sad. I don't understand how people can want to live so long if that's the only thing that drives them. I mean, you know, hey, I'm in show business, but a house, a car, and to be able to have dinner with my wife and kid, my son's 27, to have, you know, have dinner with him every 2 weeks is like, I'm a very happy, successful dog that way.
Yeah. Because you know what you want.
It would be nice to have a little sailboat too.
I mean, I'm not going to say no if it happens.
Yeah, right. You know, come on. Yeah. But I'm not going to lie, cheat, and steal and betray people to get it. You know,
my character's worth more.
I'll work extra hard. I'll work, you know, 6 days a week instead of 5.
Yeah. So Painkiller. Now,
Painkiller.
Where do we find Painkiller?
It's going to be on all those video on demand things and all the pay-per-view and DVD, you know, Redbox and Walmart starting May 4th.
Sweet.
That's great. See, what I think's awesome about this is just they get even. That's all we have to know, and to come up with it. And so based on the writing, was that because of, as you said, the story, because of something that happened to somebody? That's what the reason why they made this film, right? Even though it's a horror movie,
well, it's not horror in the sense, it's a horror story to lose your child when it was really through no fault of his own.
Right.
You know, but you know, it's more like Death Wish.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Father's coming for vengeance.
Exactly.
That's it.
Take my day.
No, but the writer the backstory, is there a backstory to this, Michael? The
backstory is Tom Parnell, who lost his son.
That's what I said.
That's the real story.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
awful.
In this story, it's his daughter, but in what inspired the story was Tom Parnell's son being prescribed oxycodone for a college sports industry and overdosing.
Yeah. Wow.
A college sports injury, not industry. Although now that they're paying college football, it's going to become an industry, isn't it?
Yeah.
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 Well, they're going to have to pay them, but then they might say, no, thank you, if they're not going to fill the stadiums, right? Some stadiums.
Think of that.
The other ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who knows what's going to happen with this pandemic? I like Governor DeSantis a lot.
See, you're liking that, and probably like his Texas governor as well, because Texas is kind of open, right, Eric?
Oh, Texas has been wide open. They came out a month ago and said no mask. So now every store still insists on it, a lot of them, but Governor Abbott, it's been at least a month where they're like, yeah, Matt, we're done with masks. And what's wild is they said we're done with masks, and COVID cases continued to decline. So
see, and then
look at Portland, Oregon. I mean, Oregon has there's a indefinite mandate to wear masks in Oregon now. How about that? So Florida and Texas, no masks, declining cases. Portland, wearing masks. You know, look, man, I go to the gym. Even at the beginning of the COVID thing, I refused to wear a mask while I ran. And people gave me the look like, because people are afraid. They really are afraid when the government says it's for the good of mankind. It's like, okay, I want to be a good person, you know, and then, you know, it's such a terrible situation we're in because, like I say, you lose the trust. You don't trust your government to be doing the right thing for the people, like the codone or oxycodones, like, you know, the pharmaceutical company and fentanyl. And it's like, you don't trust the government, the people you put in charge. It's like,
see, I'm sure you, Michael, you like this. You can share this information, right? Because some of the other media that interview you, they're not thinking like Eric and I. They're like, okay, we'll take this because it's really too bad. It's just, we don't have a free free media anymore either. Thank goodness that's my, I have this ability.
Guys like you.
Yeah, like us. We're willing. I'm willing to speak out either, and I'm willing to give anyone the opportunity to share. And that's what I hope it continues to be, and have a fair and balanced, different interviews. So some people will have different thoughts than you have, Michael, and I'm fine with that as a journalist. And Eric is more of a analyst where he can say what he wants when he wants. I'm a little bit, I'll feed into. Yeah, I agree with you, especially with COVID. Trust me, I have a show called the COVID-19 Vaccine Show, and my co-host is Dr. Mark Hayden, and he is pushing for an oral vaccine just for us to swallow COVID, because he said all these other vaccines are going to do nothing. And there's another form coming that's already in India, really bad. So I don't know what that means for people like yourself, Michael, that are working out, but we'll have to find out. All right, Eric, now I know where you're going with this, but this guy also is living a legacy. Go ahead, Mike. Go ahead.
I'm taking zinc, I'm taking D3, and I'm drinking that Schweppes with the tonic in it, with the quinine, because you can't get a prescription for hydroxychloroquine. And more it's coming out that would have been the prophylactic.
Yes, we already know that. I've already said that there is. You can go on. There are, but if you ever have that, just reach out to me, Michael. I have connections. I have connects. This is funny. We're talking pharmaceuticals. I have connects to HCQ.
Hydroxychloroquine. Where are you?
Yeah, I'm not in Pennsylvania, but you can go to any. I interviewed one of the doctors from the. You remember when they did the whole thing on the Capitol, the black woman? I interviewed her. She has her own online place that will prescribe HCQ and ivermectin.
I need to get that from you.
Okay. Yeah, me too.
Okay. Okay. So, but also my other client, Dr. Christopher Hall, that we do a show together, he has another online one. They'll prescribe those too. So you didn't know that. So you just heard it here first on Living a Legacy, Eric, that I have the connects. We're talking.
I was thinking we're going to have to go to Acapulco.
Pharmaceuticals are, and I say, hey, I have the connection, guys. I can get you this.
Yeah, and I know someone. I know someone.
I know someone. Go ahead, Eric. Yeah.
Michael, the whole point of this show, Living a Legacy, is how celebrities and amazing people use their influence to impact the world around them, right? That's what living a legacy is. It's not just leaving a legacy, but it's living one today. And that's exactly what you're doing with Painkiller. And as you said, I'm going to do shows that represent me. You're going to do some fun shows too. But Painkiller, really, it's got a message that you can get behind and support. And that's why it was an important movie for you to make and say, yeah, I'm in.
Right.
And that's why we want to interview, other than the fact that I'm a huge Eddie and the Cruisers fan, we want to talk to people that are like, no, I want to use my influence to make an impact. I want to, in your case, a lot of things, but making a movie like Painkiller, because the world needs to hear this message is important, because one more dad, one more mom does not need to lose a child. It's devastating. It's devastating. So one of the questions I do like to ask everybody, because it's living a legacy, is, kind of going back to leaving a legacy, what would you like? How would you like to be remembered? And this could be as an actor, as a father, as a human being.
Well, I'd like to be remembered as being a good dad and a good husband. And, there was an interview that John Wayne did with Barbara Walters when he got his Academy Award for True Grit. And she says, "Do you think you're a good actor?" And he says, "Well, I've been doing it for 50 years. I must have figured something out." Right. And so, I would like to be remembered to be a good actor. And now that I'm starting to, this is my first time directing, but I've got a 2-picture deal with these guys. So one is a zombie one, another one is a thriller. So, I'm in show business for, I got at least another 10 years. So I hope I can make a movie where people say, damn, that's a good movie. That's
great. All right.
And if y'all decide to do another, Greatest American Hero reunion or Eddie and the Cruisers reunion, I'm all for it. Like, you got my vote for both.
And then if you need me in a zombie movie, reach out to me. I'm 6'10", legitimate. Love to be.
Yeah, he's
really
for real 6'10".
That's great.
Ex-pro wrestler.
Yeah, ex-pro wrestler. Yeah.
Wow. I worked with, you know, I worked with the Predator, Don Fry.
Oh,
Remember him?
Cool.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man, what a complex guy, you know. And we did a little movie, and you know, when Don gets mad, you know, and he gets that look, the Predator look in his eye, you know, because he doesn't, the director's not really respecting him. You know, it's you know, you guys that are like
another animal.
Genuine. Yeah, it's
we're
like
different people, and but when I'm a broadcaster, a little different than if I'm in the ring, or you know, or I'm debating somebody, but having a great conversation. Is there a website for you, Michael, or where's the best place to connect with you?
Yeah,
Facebook.
Right,
Facebook. You can see a picture of me on Instagram. I have a handlebar mustache that I was wearing in a few movies. Not a handlebar, you know, like the prison one.
Goatee.
Yeah.
Goatee. Well, without the beard, just down here.
Okay, so yeah, handlebar.
All right, so
you
stick
see
around
that?
for a second, Michael. I want to get some talk to you off of air about a few things, and I appreciate it. And Eric, what a great guest again. We always come to deliver people that really are living a legacy. Eric, isn't that great?
Absolutely. Michael, thanks for joining us, man. This was great.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, guys, that was Living a Legacy. Take care.